Akimi Mindo, and if anyone gets the reference, that's awesome.
So our mission statement is pretty much like every human life is precious to us, and our mission is to use science and technology to end any unnecessary deaths that could be prevented. We want to end the fear of soldiers and patients everywhere from dying due to blood loss by being innovative, and being innovative and modern is what our company prides itself on, because innovation can save lives.
The global problem is obviously people dying of blood loss, and this is a problem because you have stuff like a waiting line in a hospital where there's too many people in the emergency room, or someone in combat who can't get to a hospital or any medical attention as fast as they need to be, or even people that have maybe a certain religious belief where they can't take blood transfusions, and that can potentially kill them.
Okay, so our story is pretty much I was a cheerleader, and it was the 7th grade, and I fell out of a stunt, and I pushed my arm back, and it completely broke in half, and it broke through the skin, and so there was this huge puddle of blood, blood everywhere, and so I got sent to the hospital, and I was in a waiting room, and the hospital was packed that day, and it was about an hour in, and I fainted, and I woke up, and I lost too much blood, and so it was kind of an eye-opener that this is a huge problem everywhere, people waiting for help and stuff like that. So this kind of prompted our team to find a solution to stop blood loss.
Okay, you guys are probably wondering how the heck we plan to do this. Well, we came up, sorry it's kind of not to be seen from that side, but we came up with a 2-step regimen that our first part would be to take step 1, and it can only be administered by people who are trained in the ability to give skin can regimens, which we also offer as a free service to anybody who wants to invest in skin cans. But what you do is you begin by cleaning any large debris away from the wound. You shake the can for 30 seconds. You hold approximately 18 inches away from the wound and begin spraying contents of the can directly onto the wound for 10 to 30 seconds, depending on the size of the wound. And then you immediately follow with step 2 of the skin can regimens. What's in step 1 is sterile, undifferentiated stem cells that you can spray directly onto wounds for immediate skin regeneration. And the main ingredient inside of our first can is mitogen, which is used to regrow epithelial cells. And if anybody would like to look at this, I will pass it around. It explains all about our product itself. And then, because we had to address the problem that if your skin continues to regenerate so rapidly, it can cause tumors and cancer, what we did was we came up with a second step, which is a stop growth hormone and a cancer-preventing protein mixture to ensure the end of skin regeneration. So all you have is the scar and no fears that you're going to continue regrowing your skin to the point where you get cancer. And please be aware of the disclaimers we have at the end, and we will explain more in detail later.
And so how does this connect with the actual global problem that we found? It's pretty simple. Basically, we're going to put an end to the dying of blood loss all around the world, in every country.
So these are our 10 core values, and first and foremost, our product's all about helping people and saving lives. So obviously, first value is to help people and save lives. We want to reduce the number of people in the emergency waiting rooms, because I'm sure everyone's been to the hospital. You sit there for an hour, 2 hours, just sitting there waiting to get helped. We want to reduce soldier fatalities in the field, and they can't get to a hospital, they can't get to a medical station, things like that. We want to reduce the pollution from medical waste, specifically the waste produced from bandages and tourniquets, things like that, which doctors and nurses use hundreds of every day. Versus this, you just have one can that throw in the recycling bin at the end of the day when it's empty. We want to have a successful charity-based company to be successful enough to donate the product to third world countries and just any country who needs it. We want to see the change our product has in the world and the people. We want to be continually innovative and create other life-saving products. We want to fund and start more research projects of our own. We want to be able to do so much more than just regrow skin cells, stop the blood loss. We want to be able to regrow nerve cells in your hands, things like that. We want to invest in life-saving medical research of other companies and hospitals, because obviously one company can't do it all. Other people have other great ideas that we may not think of and ways to do those things. So basically, to get the money that we need to get this whole product rolling, is we're going to present to the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is also known as DARPA, which is part of the Defense Agency. And DARPA is an agency of the U.S. Department of Defense, and it's responsible for funding the development of new technologies. They roll out things every year for the military, and they just fund private companies, public companies, small ideas, and it just goes a long way. And once we have in the military, we're getting all that money from the military, we're able to sell to hospitals and other qualified medical organizations, small 1-minute clinics, things like that. And finally, once we have proven our product and people have known about it and we have all this money, we're just going to start donating it to the product to hospitals and medical centers all over the world. You have places in Africa, Middle East, places where the only hospital you get is some guy in a shack. Versus this, we'll be able to help people all around the world.
And here's like a few of the people in our 10 years from now that we've actually helped because of our product donations.
Now, most people, when they think of stem cells, they think, all right, you get them from abortions, things like that. But no, there's other ways to get it. For example, you can get it from people like us, adults. The major way is the easiest way, maybe not the easiest, but the most beneficial way is from bone marrow. And basically you just, you drill into a bone or something and you just extract part of the bone marrow and it's just rich with stem cells. Another way is from adipose tissue, lipid cells or fat cells. And you can get that just right from liposuction. And lastly, you can obtain them from blood cells, or not blood cells, but blood itself. And basically there's machines that you can just have, you hook up to your arm or something and blood passes through it, takes out the stem cells, and blood goes right back into your body. We plan on doing it from bone marrow. And all we really need is one time to just get that bone marrow. And we're going to use the chemical formula diamido-2-phenoldoylate dihydrochloride. And basically what that does is a growth hormone that promotes the growth of stem cells from other stem cells. So we don't have to be constantly getting more and more stem cells. That just gets dangerous and people aren't going to like that. And then we're going to treat our stem cells with mitogen E9644. It's an epidural human growth hormone, which is going to regrow stem cells in the form of skin cells. So once we have our product, there are stem cells, we're able to treat it with that, and it's going to start turning those stem cells into viable human epithelial cells that are able to grow. Now, stem cells have been used already for a long time in animals, such as racehorses. Anytime they tear a ligament or things, if the owner doesn't want to put them down, you can treat them with stem cells and they can regrow the ligaments. Lastly, the biggest danger is, like my partner said, is stop the cancer that can grow from stem cells if they're not controlled. And that's where we're going to use our limiting factor, L5283, in the second bottle, and it prevents the cells from continually reproducing and growing. It just stops the growth where it is, and you don't have to worry about it.
So our biggest fear is obviously that everyone's going to say like, oh, stem cells, abortions, and that does not fly with everybody. So that's a huge fear, is like gaining the trust of people. Another thing is getting adult stem cells. Getting someone to donate bone marrow is a lot to ask. It's a really painful surgery, so that's a lot to ask. And even though we only have to do it one time, like just in case like something were to go wrong, like in the testing stages, like what if we need more bone marrow? And that's just a lot to ask. Another thing is money. It's really expensive to do tests like this, and it's really expensive to start up stuff like this. So a really important thing we're going to need is a lot of loans and a lot of investors. Another huge fear is that it's really dangerous if you don't know how to use it. So like let's say you're a nurse and you took it home from work one day and your kid got a hold of it and put it in his eye. Like, that's not good. And so that's a huge fear, making sure that it stays contained where it needs to be, just to make sure everyone is safe and using it correctly.
So our free resources at our disposal, so there's not really many free resources we can get, but thankfully we can like obtain like grants because a lot of people have research grants and donate. And then also this is like such a like amazing opportunity to be part of something this big that we're hoping that a lot of people will be interested in interning for us. Yeah.
Okay, 10 years from now, we're hoping to accomplish a lot. What we want to do first and foremost is to be able to save hundreds of thousands of lives, obviously, but we also want to be able to make enough money that we can donate this to third world countries and be able to also give the proper education needed to medical professionals in third world countries so they can administer this safely to their patients. We also want to be able to have enough investors that we can make small cans that soldiers can carry around with them to take care of each other on the battlefield. We also want to be able to continue to help with nerve repair and regeneration, which we hope to make as a third step in our serums to help when you cut your nerves from getting hurt, that you can actually regrow your sensations. And since right now we are unable to stop major blood loss, like if your artery were to be completely severed or your vein were to be completely severed, we right now do not have the technology to repair that, but 10 years from now we are hoping to be able to have come up with a way to repair the actual vein or artery itself to help with large amounts of blood loss, like a completely severed arm or a severed leg or any other sort of major blood loss.
Here's some references and our disclaimer.
I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that Skin Cans has side effects. Because of the rapid regeneration of your skin cells, it is going to cause a permanent scar, so please be aware that it's not going to be very aesthetically pleasing, but it will save your life. And like I said, it cannot stop the bleeding from destroyed veins or arteries, but it can, however, stop superficial and light bleeding intravenously, like nicks of your arteries. And please be aware that there is absolutely nothing that Skin Cans can do for internal bleeding. So if you see a medical professional who thinks that you have internal bleeding, please be aware that you need to see a medical professional immediately to help with that internal bleeding, because you're probably going to need surgery that we can't help you with.
And then, wow, you guys tweeted a lot. Alright, so the first 4 people were Haley, Paige, whoever this is, and Tyler. We have good pictures.